Hey friends, good afternoon. It's Saturday, October 2nd, and this is the second episode of the Red Dirt Gospels. I got a couple of words today that I wanted to put up on the video so that you could research them independently. I have also added the definition here so that if you don't feel like doing the extra research, I went ahead and took care of that for you. Today we're going to be talking about connecting to the gods and what that means within a society construct these days. Like, I've been watching a lot of TikTok videos recently. I've just had, I don't want to say I've had downtime. That's not true, but I've just been giving myself time to relax and disconnect from basically everything so that I can process all of the events that have taken place recently. So I've spent a lot of time on social media where before I didn't get a lot of time to do that. And I gotta tell you guys, the environment out there, and especially in the spiritual community, is extremely toxic. A lot of black and white thinking, a lot of spiritual shaming going on, bypassing, gaslighting, just real shitty, murky, boggy, toxic shit. So there's two words I wanted to bring up today that you may have heard or you may not have heard, but even if you've heard them, they may not make a lot of sense to you. So we're going to be talking about that today. And keep in mind, the gospel is the good word. So I may be bringing up some negative things, but we will end this on a positive light. This is all in service of bringing more positivity to our experiences, but in a way that we're actually processing these emotions instead of just using toxic positivity to pretend they don't exist. So the first word I'm going to show you is misotheism. Misotheism is the hatred of God or the gods. So we'll get into that in just a moment. The second word, I'll leave that up in case you guys want to take it down or look at it or whatever. The second word I'm going to show you is ableism. We see ableism come up a lot in conversations about autistic people or people with disabilities in general, not just autism, and anything that's really different, because I wouldn't even consider autism to be a disability per se. It's just a different way of perceiving the world. It can be a disability for sure. Don't let me discredit that, because I have definitely encountered situations where it would have been more considered a disability than just maybe like a way of adapting, but it is just a way of processing data. So, but we do see this word come up a lot in those types of conversations. So ableism is the discrimination of a disabled person or a person who is unable, in favor of an able-bodied people. And able-bodied does not just mean the physical self, it also means the mind. So this is where these two kind of come together, and it also means the energy body and the entirety of being for an individual. So ableism is discrimination based on favoring people who are able to do something in a general way over people who are not or require accommodations. Misotheism is the hatred of God or the gods. So take a second to ponder that. I'm gonna hit this lovely bong that I got from the Awa Shack, and if you're in Seminole, Oklahoma, or looking for a short road trip out of Oklahoma City, please go visit them. Christy's one of my very, very best friends. This was reasonably priced, completely custom made, and I'm not an official sponsor for their products, but I am a lifetime customer. So there we go, Awa Shack in Seminole, Oklahoma. You also don't need to smoke to be a part of these conversations. I just have a lot of anxiety and a lot of pain from lupus, and it helps me disconnect from the physical a little bit more so that I can just have these conversations without focusing on other things. Also, the dogs are in here today, so I'm sure that Adam's going to bark at some point. Just know that. All right, let's get started. So here's where my complaint is. When I first came to the pagan path, I was a complete atheist, okay? I had no desire, want, temptation, or need to be involved with the gods. I had decided, I had gone on this sort of like mental journey of my own spiritual journey, whatever, dark night of the soul, if you will. And I had come to the conclusion in my own right that God was not real. I did not hate God, but the only God that I was raised with was the Christian God. And I went to church. I went to a it was non-denominational, but it was a Pentecostal leaning church my entire childhood, and I liked going to Sunday school. I really enjoyed the community, and I really enjoyed being around other people who were doing kind of the same community activities, and I enjoyed the arts and crafts and the conversation, but I never felt God. I would watch my great granny literally speak in tongues, and I believe that she was speaking in tongues. My granny was a very religious person before she passed away, and so is my my most close maternal grandmother. They're very religious. They have a very strong faith in Jesus and God, but I just never felt it. I never got what they were talking about. I never felt filled with the Spirit and all of those things. So I just thought it was bullshit. I just thought it was like, something that they did to have fun, and I just would never understand. And before finding out that I was autistic, I had held this common belief to myself that I maybe was just a robot anyway. Literally, I really thought that I was perhaps not a robot per se, but just wired wrong. And nobody really talked about, mental needs. No one really talked about mental health. It just really that conversation didn't really come along until maybe the last 15 or so years, where people are actually able to talk about things out loud and not just be told to basically fuck off. So when I came into the pagan path, it was simply for understanding of culture. It was I had always had a draw to European culture. I specifically started with Celt culture. Actually, I didn't even start with the Norse path, but quickly after coming into opening myself up to talking to people about the pagan path and about the Celt path and the Northern European path, I quickly came in contact with Odin right after that. And in Oklahoma City specifically, there really were no people that were practicing Norse that were willing to have that conversation with me. It was a bunch of bro Thor dudes, and it was just for them, and women couldn't practice Norse. And I was very terrified, actually, when I first started, because I was very alone, and it was a complete removal from anything I had been really raised with. And Odin became my teacher. Odin told me specifically, like, I can be the person I can be the one who teaches you this if you're willing to kind of disconnect from this need, because I had a need to learn from other human beings. And he had basically told me, if you're able to remove your conscious mind enough from the need for this, then I can be the one that teaches you. And that wound up being the best thing that ever happened to me. I mean, I right after kind of opening myself up to learning from Odin, I really didn't have much to lose. I was miserable, and speaking Odin's name filled me with this joy I could not fucking describe. Like, it really was like how they described, like, being filled with the joy of God, or the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. Like, that's how I felt. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it was embarrassing at first, because I had become someone who was mesotheist. I really hated people who enjoyed church and who found joy there. But what I was actually, I was jealous. These people were able to go into this building with people like them, and they were able to raise their arms to the sky and be filled with this indescribable happiness that for me was just simply unattainable at that time. It wasn't something that I ever felt like I would be able to experience, and I was jealous about that. There's a lot of things in the world that I know I won't be able to experience. I just don't care. Like, I'm not fertile. I won't be able to have children. That doesn't bother me. I don't see other people with kids and think like, fuck them, I don't care. But this was something that I did care about deeply. So, I knew that talking to Odin was like a big deal for me. So I would go to, there they are. Barkity bark bark. Sweet Jesus. By Odin's beard. Yeah, I'm doing a video. Bye. Love you too. I got 4 dogs. A husband. A neighbor. God. Okay. Once again, this was something that I deeply pined for, and I didn't know it at the time because I had pushed away the idea of connecting with a deity so far that for me to feel like that was what I was actually wanting, that hatred that I felt was what I was actually wanting, was just completely, foreign to me. So as I continued to work at this and continued to try and talk to other people, I noticed something pervasive in the community. I was coming to people telling them, listen, I talk to Odin directly. Like, he comes to me, talks to me. There's verifiable proof through other people. Like, he tells me shit that other people, tell me, like, well, you shouldn't know this, or there's no way you could know this, blah, blah, blah. The things that I was learning, the things I was able to say, they were just falling out of my mouth. And they would get so fucking mad at me. They would get the same level of mad at me that I would get at people who talked about Jesus in that way. And I recognized it right away as I'm not trying to start no shit, but I'm just saying, I could just tell they were not able to connect with him in the way that I was. Here we go. More barking. Are y'all fucking kidding me? Adam. The neighbor came over. They know I'm doing a video. And then the neighbor walked back across with my husband. They know I'm still doing a video. Riling up these damn dogs. Maybe this is just part of the process. Who knows, right? Okay. So once again, I recognized this behavior, and I thought to myself, okay, well, they're not connecting with Odin the way I am. They're not connecting with the energies the way that I am. And I noticed myself start to pull in. Like, I started to almost kind of like hide my connection to the gods because of how badly it pissed off other people. And it wasn't until recently that I realized how much that was damaging me, how much that was harming me as a person, because people would come to talk to me about the gods and about experiences they were having, and I would say something along the lines of, oh yeah, I'm sure that's probably what's going on for you, I don't know if I experience it that way or whatever, but I was and I am and I do, and there are times when I literally will just start crying because I'm so like filled with that love for the connection that I have to the divine. And that's really what I wanted to come and talk to you guys today about. All of that to say, 13 minutes of talking to get to this point. This is where the ableism comes in. Sometimes we're looked at as people that have needs as being weaker than others. And in spirituality, I really feel that that's what's going on right now in the weird, in the zeitgeist among the community, is that people who practice with deities are being looked at as being weaker. And I wanted to come here today to talk to you guys about changing your perspective on that. Just giving you something to think about. Those of you who do use deities and those of you who think it's silly to use deities. And here's my perspective. Not everyone needs a deity. Not everyone is going to connect with a god. Not everyone is going to connect with the energies. Not everyone needs it. But some of us do. Some of us do. I was such a mentally tortured child that it really only makes sense in my adult life to seek some kind of safe authority figure. And by authority, I don't mean someone who controls me or is responsible for my actions. I mean someone who knows what the fuck is going on. Just simply a safe energy. I did not have a father figure growing up who was really actively involved. I was raised by a stepdad who, for all intents and purposes, hated me. Like, my family will fight that topic, and that's fine if y'all need to fight me on that, but that's how it felt. That's always how it felt, and it left me with a lot of holes as an adult, a lot of gaps in my mental education and my being prepared for the world and how the world really is. That's really what men and fathers are supposed to do, is they're supposed to prepare their children for what the world is going to be like, all those pitfalls, and teach them how to protect themselves and how to have that mental acuity to adapt and change to different situations and become self-aware, and to become self-resourceful, and not to have to trade parts of themselves to have their needs fulfilled, and having been failed in that way so extremely, that left me vulnerable to seeking relationships with much older men. I was 22 years old and I was dating a 55-year-old man. That's not okay. At 22, I had nothing. I mean, what did I have to provide to a 55-year-old man except for the body of a 22-year-old? I've always been older mentally, but I didn't have the experiences of anything more than a 22-year-old. But here he was interested in me. That's predatory in nature, and I don't hold anything against him, and I don't have any trauma from that. I mean, I probably do, but I'm not saying that he was wrong, or I'm not trying to be accusatory. I'm just saying the lack of having that figure in my life left me open to attack more than just on a mental plane. So having someone like Odin come into my life and come into my energy and take the reins, for lack of a better term, phrase, and just say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to adapt. I'm going to teach you how to protect yourself and how to respond to people and how to protect your energy and all those good things. That has been nothing but beneficial to me. That has taught me nothing but how to be a better version of myself. And for that reason, that's why I dedicated myself to working with Odin. And this isn't like a marriage thing, like how they have like god brides or whatever, nothing against it. But to me, that's not like a marriage thing. This is just me saying, before anybody else in my life, Odin comes first. Odin is I will listen to him before I will listen to anything else besides like my own self. You know what I'm saying? Like, Odin's never told me anything that I didn't agree with, but if he ever did, I would listen to myself first. But no other human being can tell me jack shit before Odin. And like I said, to me, that was what I needed. That is what I need still. I'm not a weak person. I'm a person who knows what my needs are and how I need to adapt. And not everybody who talks to deities or works with deities or energies is traumatized or whatever. Some people just have a place in their life where they need that. They need someone there to help them through. It's no different than having a friend make a phone call for you or having them order through the speaker for you. And I just hate seeing on fucking pagan spiritual pages of all pages. I understand it from the Christian narrative because there's one God, and you kind of really have to kind of like fall in line with that version of it if you want to practice with other people. So I get where kind of like the, well, he doesn't do this or that comes from. And even in the Christian faith, like, they don't, God is involved in your life and they tell you like to give it to God or whatever, but they don't expect you to have a very close like relationship or friendship with God. And Odin is like my buddy. Like, I respect him, but at the same time, he's like a friend. I talk to him like a friend. You'll catch me talking to him out loud. But I wanted to give you guys some empowerment today. I wanted to tell you guys, don't listen to these people who are telling you that it's weird to have these relationships with energies, because I'm going to tell you what, there's a lot more than just the major deities out there. And if you need support, these guys they like to help. They like to, I'm not saying that, that Odin will be in your pocket every single day for you to ask questions to and stuff, but there's other energies too, right? That's the beauty of being pagan. And it's not just deities. You might have your major deity here, you like your Odin, your Freya, those types of energies. But then there's this whole fucking spectrum of energies that love to help. You've got ancestors that you can connect with. You've got land wights that you can connect with that are, kind of hanging out in the trees and the flowers, anywhere where you're gonna find organic, like growing energy. You've got, let's see what I got purple over here. You've got fairies and pixies and trolls and tomties, and then you've got water spirits, you've got the rain, creeks, whatever the fuck. There's all kinds of literally just whatever energy out there. And I'm here to tell you right now, it is fucking K to be standing in the middle of a grocery store having a little bit of a panic situation and say, can someone come and help me? Can someone give me some support? And someone will, as long as you're open to receiving, someone will be there for you. It may not be in the flesh, and that guy just dipped out. It may not be in the flesh, but you're going to get help. You, more than anything, you are worth that help. You are worth having someone take a moment to sit with you and talk shit out. You know what I mean? That's really what it is, right? It's just like having these deities, having these energies. It's like a comforting presence. Someone that you know is not going to judge you for not having all of the answers. Someone that you know is not going to treat you like you're stupid because you're having a moment and you just need time to work through some shit, and then you can just keep going. But someone who's not going to look at you and say, are you serious? When you tell them that you're having a moment of need. That's what deities are for. That's what energies are for. It's not all just, education with Odin. Sometimes he and I just will have a bowl of macaroni and cheese, and that's okay. That's the relationship that I've cultivated with Odin. You can do the same thing. I love seeing this narrative of more people talking to Loki because he's one of the most accessible deities. And I am going to call him a deity at this point. I know he's not considered part of the official pantheon, but he's received enough support recently that I feel like it's fair to go ahead and give him that distinction. I'm not the authority here, but whatever. I am an authority of sorts, so I'm giving you permission to call him a fucking deity, and someone can fight me if they want to. But that's what I want to tell you guys. It is okay. Don't let these people on TikTok make you feel bad because a large part of your practice revolves around having a relationship with deities. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying, I enjoy this relationship, and I'm going to work on that too. I'm going to work on being more open about how important deities are to my practice. It also doesn't mean that they're wrong. It's fine for them to not want to work with them. The argument I see the most is like, well, you're limiting yourself. That's bullshit. Odin has never limited me. I learned from the Shinto religions. I don't dip into closed practices because I'd rather learn from a person than move into closed practices on my own, because there's no reason for me to be dabbling in there without that permission. But if someone comes to me and wants to talk to me about different pantheons, then I sit and I listen to what they have to say, and then we research it together. There's no limitations. Odin doesn't sit there and say like, well, you can only, read about me and you can only do my shit. No, he's very open. And I'm sure that a lot of these other deities are too. They like to be a part of that process as well. They very much are, here to help us, guide us into these new energies and new concepts. So that's what I want to tell you guys. I see so much hatred and so much bullshit about how the deities aren't your friends, the deities, they don't want to sit with you all the time. They can just say no. Like, why do these human fucking monkey beings, literal primates, think that they know better? Like, do they really think that deities need bodyguards, like energy bodyguards? Like, it's not your friend. Is he not my friend, or are you just mad that he's not your friend? That's what I want to know. Because that's what I was upset about, and I freely admit that. So is it that the deities aren't our friends, or is it that you're just mad that the deities aren't talking to you the same way that they're talking to me, or the same capacity of care that they're talking to me? And if the deities give you blessings and they're not giving other people blessings, don't you dare turn those blessings away. You accept those blessings, because that's what they have cultivated for you. That's the relationship that you have had. That's like being shy about having a relationship with you. Oh, there we go. I swear. No respect. but that's the blessings that they bestowed upon you based on the relationship that you have created with them. So don't you give away your blessings. Don't you feel bad or guilty about needing to have a relationship with the deity for a little while or forever. I plan on having my relationship with Odin forever, but it's going to be between the two of us. If he ever decides that it's time for him to move on, I respect that fully. I don't need to control that relationship, but that's what having a friendship is all about. That's what having a healthy relationship with another energy and being is all about. It's a free flow of energy. It's not one of control, and that exists on this side from me, and that exists on Odin's side too. So that's what I want to tell you. I encourage you to explore these relationships. This has been episode 2 of the Red Dirt Gospels. This is work, so if you feel so compelled, my PayPal is paypal.me/Rogue Tradition, and my Venmo is @Rogue Tradition. You don't have to pay anything, but the less I have to worry about keeping the lights on, the more I can do stuff like this. So I appreciate your time, and you guys have a great rest of your day.